Can anyone confirm that my voice is clear? Anyone can hear me? Hello. All right, so the voice is clear. So let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second episode of this series, which we will explain and talk about multiple tactics and techniques from MITRE ATT&CK. Mr. Hisham started the last episode with all right. So Mr. Hisham started the last episode with the was talking about the initial access tactic and especially the phishing technique. He explained the tactic or the technique from a red team perspective. He showed us how to emulate a phishing campaign, how to deliver the phishing email to the victim, and how to spoof the sender address. So, in this session, we will proceed from where Mr. Hisham stopped, and we will take uh, the same topic, which is phishing attacks and techniques, but this time we will talk from a blue team perspective. We will talk how to mitigate this attack and this threat and how to identify and investigate in these threats. But first, we will start by talking about the MITRE attack. So, one of the previous episodes, we talked about the cyber kill chain and we explained. If anyone want for more further explain, you can check the previous episodes on the channel. So, we explained what is the purpose and the objective of the cyber kill chain. It's a model that should or intended to describe and track all the phases that every threat actor have to go through when they target a victim. So they start by reconnaissance and weaponization until they got their initial access and start their installation and execution part until they achieve their objective, whether it was uh, encryption or ransomware for ransom or money, or whether it was a spy operation. So in this series and this episode, we will talk about a more detailed framework. It's the MITRE attack. In my opinion, I believe that MITRE attack is one of the greatest products that came in the history of the cybersecurity. Why is that? MITRE attack is a framework or a knowledge base that tracks all the cyber adversary tactics and techniques that used by their operation, and it's regular updated and it has a very detailed information about all the techniques that adversary will try to perform during their multiple phases and multiple uh, stages of their attack. So let's before we continue to take a quick view of the MITRE attack to get more familiar with this attack and this framework. And actually, MITRE attack will be. All right, give me a moment. All right, so I believe the screen is shared now. So as I was saying, MITRE attack uh, document all the techniques that observed that is using by adversary and threat actors in the wild and in their operations. And during the series, we will explain multiple different techniques and tactics of the MITRE attack. So let's begin with the basics. What is the difference between the tactic and techniques? So the tactics is the high level objective that the adversary want to achieve. So we have about 13, uh, I think we have 14. So we have 14 tactic, and these are the objective, that the high level objective or goals that the adversary want to achieve. For example, we have here the reconnaissance, same as the cyber kill chain. We have the resource development, and in this goal or in this tactic, the adversary want to buy and establish the resources that they will use for their operation. So, for example, if the attacker decided after the reconnaissance part to attack the victim using a malware, and this malware, of course, will need a C2 server, then in this phase, the adversary will start to buy and register the IP and the domain and the server and all of the infrastructure that the adversary will use and utilize in their operation. We have the execution, the persistence, and we talked before about the persistent and how the adversary want to maintain their foothold and their initial access to survive any problem in connections or any restart or shutdown of the system. So here we have the different tactics or the different high-level objectives of that every attacker want to achieve in their operations. And inside all of these tactics, here where the MITRE attack stands. Inside every tactic, the MITRE attack collects all the techniques that observed used by the threat actors in the wild to achieve that tactic. So here we have the initial access, which is the first real stage of the attacker, or the first stage where the attacker start interacting with the victim. So here we have the high level objective, which is the attacker want to achieve or get an initial access. So the next question, how the attacker will achieve this object, and here come the techniques. These are the techniques that attackers could use to achieve the initial access objective, and attacker could use one or could use multiple techniques to achieve the end goal objective or the tactic, depending on the case and the context. So in this series, we will go through multiple techniques, through the multiple stages or the tactics of the MITRE attack, and we will use MITRE attack framework as a main reference for our series. So, as I said, Mr. Hisham started the last session with the phishing, which is one of the most common and important technique in the initial access. Of course, there's multiple techniques that attacker could use for getting the initial access. For example, exploiting public-facing application, and this is where the victim has a public-facing or an application or a service that is facing the internet. So, and it's vulnerable because it's not updated. So here the attacker could get his initial access by exploiting these services or this application. So we will talk about all of these techniques later. Today we will focus only phishing. So let's start to our slides. And let's discuss why phishing is this important and why phishing is this dangerous. So what is phishing? I believe that Mr. Hisham go through all of these introductions the last session, but as a quick recap, the phishing is an attempt to trick employee or whatever the victim to providing sensitive information or to download a malware. So phishing is tricking an employee or a victim by present themselves as a legitimate entity via email or via multiple uh, ways, such as phone call or text messages. But the email is the most common way for delivering official phishing attempt. And this, in this case, the adversary send an email for a victim and try to trick them by social engineering terms to into doing one of the two things. The first is clicking a link uh, for a fake for a fake web page in order to trick the victim to enter their information, and the adversary will have the information. And the second way or the second type is tricking the victim into downloading a malicious file, and the malicious file will get the attacker their initial access and will start the other stages of the attack. So this is phishing, and since everyone scares from numbers, so here's some numbers of the impact and uh, how dangerous the phishing attacks is, and all of these are number of uh, the losses that caused by phishings and the money that companies lose every day and every month and every year because of the phishing attack. And the reason why we start by the phishing in this series, that phishing is still the most common way by far, by from the second way, the most common way to get the initial access. So if they're an attacker that targeting your company or yourself, there's a high chance that they will try to use phishing to get their initial access in your environment. So in the last session, Mr. Hisham showed you how to emulate and how the adversary will make to send the phishing emails for you. And in this part, we will talk about the mitigation. And mitigation here mean if we are if we are now a target by a phishing campaign, and this is very common. So probably if you are an employee and a security employee in any company, probably you are currently or in the past or in the future will be a target of phishing attacks. So what are the measures that can we make or take in order to mitigate and decrease the impact of any phishing attack or any phishing or any successful phishing attack? So the first thing we can do is deploying security solution. So we have the security email gateway, which is security solution that work as a gateway from its name. Of course, it works as a gateway for email. So any email that is going in or going out from our environment should pass through this gateway, and this gateway will make a filter on this email. So it will look for the addresses that is sending or receiving that email. It will look for the content. It will look for the attachments. So this solution or having such a solution on the perimeter of our environment will help us to filter out most of the phishing emails that we or that our environment will receive. Of course, this is not an ultimate solution because any security solution could be bypassed or evaded. So even though that this solution will help us to decrease a lot of the impact of the phishing emails, but there will be definitely will there will be a phishing email that will pass through this solution, and we have to consider that. So this is not the only thing we can do, we can also make use of the email authentication protocols such as the SFP, the DKIM, the DMARC, and all of these protocols is intended uh, uh, to help verify the authentication of the incoming emails. So if any attacker trying to spoof the sender email like Mr. Hisham did in the last session, if we are implementing these protocols right, we can uh, we can decrease the impact of this email, and this email will be sent to the spam. We will know that these emails failed to authenticate itself. And maybe we will dedicate a whole session for implementing these protocols, and we will talk more about there later. And one of the actions and that we can use to that we can make for decreasing and mitigating the threat of the spam emails or the phishing emails, we can perform and conduct a regular employee training and awareness. Because if you think of it, the real danger here is by the employee that will fall into the trick of the attacker and will open the email or downloading the attachment or open the link. So if we regularly educate our employees and learn them how to spot the phishing emails and how to verify if the email uh, legitimate or not, we will decrease the impact of the threat. And of course, one of the important things to do is to implement the regular security solutions such as firewall, IDS, and anti-malwares. And if you are asking if these solutions have a direct protection of the phishing emails, actually, or probably it will not, but this solution will help in mitigating the attacks in case if any phishing email bypassed all the other solutions. So if we have an employee that received an email that managed to bypass the security email gateway and accidentally they download the attachment or visit the link that is attached in the email. So if we have these solutions and we this solution will maybe catch the attachment, maybe prevent the malware that the user download by mistake from running. And if we have a firewall, the firewall may prevent uh, the user, the victim, from accessing the attacker's website or domain. So even though that these solutions doesn't protect the environment directly from the phishing threat, it will help to uh, prevent the attacker from further their operation if one of their phishing emails succeed. So let's assume that one of our employees fall into the trick of the phishing email and they open the link or they downloaded the attachment. So in this way, we have to be able to identify the email, and we should be able to analyze the email and its attachments. So how can we do that? So the first thing is, of course, analyzing the email addresses and links and domains, and we can do this by multiple uh, online solutions. Let me. So we can use website like VirusTotal for looking up the URL or the domain or the IP of the targeted or of the email or the phishing email that we suspect of it. We can also use We can also use abuse database, and this website will also provide us with insights and reports about the IP and the domain and the URL. So if any of these IPs or domain is suspicious for and reported for sending phishing emails, then uh, we can use these websites for looking all of them up. So this is regarding the address and the IP and the domain that sending the email. But as we saw in the last session, the all of these information could be spoofed, and we have to learn how to analyze the headers of the headers of the email to identify if these headers and sender is spoofed, and we will talk more about this in another session. So uh, we will uh, in this session we will end with the uh, attachment analysis, and if we have an attachment, of course, if we have a link as an attachment, we can use the VirusTotal and the Accuse database for looking these artifacts. But if we have uh, a file as an attachment, we can use VirusTotal and we can use hybrid analysis. And of course, we can use Anyrun. And Anyrun is an online sandbox that we can use for running the file in the attachment, and the website will observe the all of the behaviors of the malware and will report us if there is any malicious activity that is running by this file. So due to our limited time, this will be all for today. So if anyone has a question, I would be happy to answer it. And maybe in another session, we will continue our talking about the email headers analysis and the attachment analysis. Right. So are there any questions? All right, so this will be all for today, and in the next sessions we will continue our explain of the MITRE attack, and we will explain other techniques of the MITRE attack from both red team and blue team perspective. So until we meet the next time, have a good day, and thank you for your time and for listening.